Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother, a necklace full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jewelers reimagines family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Working one-on-one, Duke's designers honor the original story while creating something fresh and modern. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com, where old stories become new treasures.
Good morning. Welcome on in on this early morning on this Tuesday. Supposed to have a rainy couple of days here. That's okay because we've been having great weather. I looked at the weather for the weekend. Easter weekend is upon us, and it looks good, man. Right now, we are going to listen to Coach Steve Cleveland, who we have on, and talk to him about what's going on in the world of basketball.
Do you feel really good for UConn, or do you feel really bad for Duke?
Oh, man. You know, both those programs have won championships and have had great success. And you always feel badly when it's a long, shot, how it played out. Those are difficult. It just happens so sudden that it just takes the air out of your whole body and soul. And but it's how the game's played, and it's what the magic about this tournament, year in and year out. We never get let down. I mean, honestly, it's just amazing how these games unfold, and just the excitement of what took place yesterday. And God bless them all, man. I mean, it's a tough deal, and they get to so close. But to watch a deflected pass turn into a 30 or 40-foot buzzer beater shot, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, it was so exciting, and I don't have a vested interest in any of these teams, but I still get nervous for everybody.
Yeah, I'm wondering, a lot of heat going towards Duke's way. They had a camera on Shire, and he's pointing as to throw the ball, advance it down the floor. And Boozer's son there, both of them actually committed turnovers, I guess, in the last couple of possessions for Duke. But in the moment, you can coach for forever and go through a million different things and then not go over that. That's the craziness of sports. Now, if they are ever in that situation again, that won't happen. But they've never been in that situation. It's like, the point is, how can you cover everything all the time, particularly in those crazy final seconds? It seems like it's impossible, and they got burned by it.
Yeah, and just it's something as simple as a deflected pass, and how that unfolded into a 30 or 40-foot shot to win the thing at the buzzer. You do prepare. I will say this. These are all great coaches and a lot of good coaches in the country. There's a lot of time and preparation that's put into late game situations, okay? And I'm not saying that you could have foreseen that or what was going to take place, but good coaches and good programs look at last 5 seconds, last 10 seconds, three-quarter court shot, got to get it to the paint. I mean, there's so many different scenarios that you prepare for, not knowing how it's going to play out at the end. But when you've had that kind of preparation, and I'm not talking about a 30 or 40-foot shot that goes in at the buzzer on a deflected pass, because that's just the karma of the whole day. I mean, it just happened. But I will say this, and all of these coaches are prepared for late game situations. Maybe not so dramatic as the one we saw yesterday, but it's still stuff that you prepare for. And you never know what's going to happen. But man, that's what makes this game so special, and those moments for fans watching. And I don't think we're done having some pretty amazing thing happens with the Final Four coming, and with Illinois. No, I don't think anybody's thinking that Illinois's got a chance, and everybody's thinking UConn does. But Dusty May at Michigan, you know what? they're really good and neutralize. They've got to neutralize Arizona's paint touches and paint points and do the things they've got to do. But I think these are all going to be. I just don't see any blowout games here. I just think there's so much pressure and so much preparation, especially defensively. It's going to be hard to score. And a lot of it will come down to transition baskets. And really what impacts games more than anything is turnovers that turn into points.
Yeah.
And, that's the killer, and that's the unknown about who wins championships.
Well, Duke certainly had a problem with that. And when they were rolling in the first half, they had Cam Boozer. He was just going to town, and UConn had no answers. And just as you were coming on, PK was talking about Hurley and the Jersey attitude and all that. I thought the way UConn defended in the second half, when there really wasn't much hope, was really impressive. And if there's any takeaway for our local teams here, it's like if you're planning on getting to the tournament and then making a run once you're there, just got to be way better on defense. The teams that are making these tournament runs, and it's not purely defense, because if it's purely defense, Houston would still be going. So you've got to have shooting, you got to have offense. But my gosh, UConn, they played really hard at the defensive end and really got Boozer pretty quiet in the second half.
They did. I think Reed was really, really impactful in this game in terms of scoring. And, they had double-figure scoring with Mullins, Damari, Ball. Smith had 9, I think. And I don't know. When games, obviously the Boozers and Duke, and they've been special teams. Cameron had 27, 8, and 4. Not like they played poorly. Caden Boozer had 15, 5, and 1. They shoot 52% and 40% for the three-point line and lose.
Yeah.
That's what hurts. Is that, man? Look at what we did, and the similar thing. I think it was last year that Duke lost to Houston. Yeah. When they were up 6 with just a short amount of time. And so Duke's got to be feeling a little bit snake bit right now. But it hurts. It hurts for a while. And eventually you get through it and you move on. But that's a tough loss for Duke.
So you had an opportunity to watch Cam Boozer a bit play basketball. So from your perspective, if it comes down to Boozer or DeBonsa, who do you like?
I like DeBonsa. I think DeBonsa has the ability to score in more multiple ways, and nobody gets into the paint and elevates, and he creates space better than anybody that I saw this year in the game. And that's what I like about him, is that you're not going to stop him from getting a shot up. Now you can double team him, and maybe that's the best way what you do with anyone. And you go double, but then all of a sudden it's kind of how that game ended. All of a sudden the ball gets bounced away, and a good 3-point shooter gets the ball, but it was still had to be a 30 or 40 foot shot. And but I like AJ. I just think he's so much more versatile. And it's not to say that, both the Boozer boys are going to be involved. They're going to be in the NBA and they're going to have long careers. But my money's on AJ. I just think he's one of the most gifted players in the country. I think he can have an immediate impact in the NBA. Not that he's an all-star, but he's going to have an impact on whatever team he goes to. Unfortunately, when you're a first or a second round draft pick, you usually go to a team that hasn't been winning lately. But AJ can make a difference wherever he goes.
Yeah, that's what would be cool about the Jazz if they got that pick, because whoever does go to the Jazz is not going into a bad situation, is going to go into a good situation.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be special for AJ to be here? And I know how much he loves his community and the state, and I just his comments and just being around him and the family. That'd be the greatest thing that happened in basketball in the state of Utah ever. To have him be that guy. And I don't know how we're going to figure that out. And Danny and all the Angels are going to figure out how in the world can we get this guy to be a part of the Utah Jazz. If that happens, man, everybody. I mean, the crazy thing is they sell all these games out even when they're losing. I mean, these are the most loyal fans in the country. And but to see an AJ find himself a place with the Jazz would really, really put smiles on everybody's faces in this state.
Well, one thing that could happen is they could get really fortunate in the draft lottery. But the other thing that could happen is he'll be a free agent at some point, and I feel like he's been heavily recruited for the last year, if you know what I mean. And I think
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And we'll kind of see how that plays out. And a lot of these things too. I mean, I'm not as prepared right now to talk about the draft and the upcoming draft and things. I usually get myself prepared for that, and I will shortly here over the next few days. But I do really think that the Jazz need to be doing everything that they potentially can and possibly can to get that guy, keep him here in Utah. And I don't know how that plays out. I don't know what trades are involved or what the circumstances are. But for AJ especially, I mean, usually you're going to go to a team that has struggled and is not playing well. The Jazz could kind of fit that mold too. But I just think that would be a game changer for this whole state. So hopefully they're working on that, and we'll figure out how we can find a way for AJ to be a part of basketball here in Utah. But that's what we're all hoping for and looking for. And no matter where AJ goes, I do believe that he'll have way more of an impact. And the Boozers are amazing. Cam and Caden are both great players. Cam is probably more prepared than Caden, but they're not AJ. AJ is more prepared than either one of those players, and I think can have an impact in the NBA immediately.
So we see that the news coming down, Northern Iowa's Ben Jacobson going to go to Utah State, 55 years old. And my first thought was, okay, these guys all have a resume that is something that you would look at and say they're qualified to take this job, really no matter who they were going to hire, most likely. I have about a 99% feeling that I would say, yeah, they're qualified, right? So we put that off to the side. Being 55 as opposed to being late 30s, early 40s leads me to believe that maybe there might be some continuity. Nobody has any idea. You can't guarantee anything. But I'm just trying to think, when you moved, and clearly you took that Fresno State job because it was home, but you were a little older. When you went into that mindset, did you think that was going to be it? That this is where you were going to coach for the rest of your career?
I think when I look back on that, and it's easy to look back and thought, well, what was I thinking? But I mean, when you look back and you're going back home to kind of rebuild another program, and we'd been kind of successful doing that at BYU, and so it made sense to kind of have that opportunity to go back and do that. I'm Ben Jacobson, I don't know, but I can tell you this, that being from Northern Iowa and being a head coach for 20 plus years, is a little bit older. I mean, it just seems like a perfect fit for Utah State. It's like every coach they've ever had. I'm not saying that in terms of age, but here's another guy that's been in a mid-major, which Utah State has been, and they've had success. I don't know anything about this guy, but the fact that he spent 20 years as a head coach at Northern Iowa, and yes, he is a little bit older and probably a lot wiser than a lot of the coaches. I think and I don't know anything about him, but the fact that he's from Northern Iowa tells me that he's had to grind and work and do everything he could to be successful there, and he's done that. And I like the hire. I look forward to reading about him and getting to know him and seeing what he's doing. But from the outside looking in, it just seems to be a good fit. And I don't know anything about the guy, but I know what I know about Northern Iowa. I know what about mid-majors and what they do and how hard it is to be successful. This seems like a good fit.
He went there as an assistant coach, and he worked for Greg McDermott, who people may know from Creighton and Iowa State. How much do you look at that and use that to help color in your perspective too? Oh,
a huge piece. I mean, Greg McDermott, this is someone that I've watched and I know. And, you look at the people that are put in place and that have impact on other players and on other coaches. And, you look around this country and you start looking at mid-major coaches and what they've done. And certainly Greg McDermott is a guy that has had an influence and has been a mentor to coaches. It just seems to be a good fit. And I think for whatever reason, and I don't know the history, I know all the people that have coached there, but Utah State, in my mind, has been the most consistent program in the state for years and years, that you just know what you're going to get. I'm not suggesting they're Final Four teams, but year in and year out, big wins, toughest place to play in this state. And I know, that BYU has a fan base that's amazing, but it's not Utah State. It's hard to win there. I coached there, and I've been in big arenas, and they usually attract mid-major coaches, and I don't see this not being any more successful than it has been in the past. I think it's a great hire, not knowing him, but just knowing where he comes from and what the circumstances are. At 55, I think the transition will be smooth, and it will have an immediate impact on that program. They're not going to take a step back with Ben Jacobson.
Yeah, too, when you hear and see these things, I immediately go to their roster and see who's good.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing that with Randy Bennett going to ASU, and, St. Mary's has been good, and I had a couple conversations with people in that area, and they're like, okay, who can he bring? Sprinkle, when he came, brought a couple of guys that made an immediate difference. I mean, big-time difference for the Aggies that year. And so that's the way you look at these things. You saw Jason Beck, the kid who was coordinator for Utah for only one season. Who did he bring? He brought the quarterback with him from New Mexico. And wow, they had an awesome offense. And now all of a sudden, Jason Beck is the coordinator in Michigan. How incredible is that? And Devin Dampier's like, oh, wait a second. How come I didn't get any credit for that? Because he brings them. and that was a large reason why they were so good, because that young man, when he was healthy, was very electric. It's kind of crazy the way things are these days.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of that, well, I don't want to get off on a tangent. I have a good friend, Heath Schroyer. You guys know Heath.
Yeah.
And he's been at McNeese State. He's been an athletic director there, and he's now the athletic director at LSU, associate athletic director. And there's been lots of changes and in that part of the country, and I'm so happy for him. But it's the same thing. You just never know what's around the corner. And I'm in touch with Heath quite a bit. We're close, but even he, I don't think, could have seen that happen. Will Wade is now, he was the head coach, and he was at McNeese State with Heath. And it's just amazing how things happen. And all of a sudden, here's Heath, who has been a coach and then has been an AD there, and now is associate AD at LSU. That's a significant jump, but you just never know what's going to happen, and how it happens. And congratulations to Heath, because that's a huge jump going to LSU. But you take a look at Ben Jacobson and where he's been and what he's done. Everybody's got a story, and I love the stories. And just year in and year out, guys get jobs, and people that nobody knows. All of a sudden, they're in the NCAA tournament and upsetting people. That's the beauty of college basketball. You just know year in and year out, there's always a surprise. There's always an upset, and that's why we love this game.
There you go, Steve Cleveland. Coming up next, we go to one of our favorite guests. We have him on frequently, talking about tanking, talking about the lottery, things to do in the NBA, and also Kyle Whittingham at Michigan, all that with the columnist from Oklahoma. He's at the Tulsa World right now. His name is Barry Tramel. Stay with us. We got that coming up next.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car is gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, and we are joined now by Barry Tramel. Barry, good morning.
Well, how are you guys doing, and what is going on in the state of Utah? You You guys used to be such a placid place, just solid, even keel, just win ball games and go about your business and not make news. And now it's a scandal every other week. Crying out loud.
Good. We want it every week.
Well, it is good for radio.
Exactly.
I will say that.
It doesn't hurt. Well, it's I think it's as simple as Danny Ainge came to town and said we're going to do things differently. And so we got this 4-year rebuild, which, to your point, they really haven't had to go through something like this. And he did inherit a situation where the draft pick, protected draft pick, had been traded away. And I think those two things have come together here. And I guess we're just curious, what's the temperature in Oklahoma City? They accepting this? They're furious? They want to get the Jazz fined again? They want the league to take away the pick? What do they want? What's going to happen, Barry?
Well, here's the deal. I'm sure the Thunder's not too crazy about it, but here's the deal. They got so many draft picks this year, they don't even know what to do with them. So, in some ways, if the Jazz will keep this pick, it takes a little bit of the load off because they got the Clippers and the Sixers pick, both protected on the Sixers are protected 1 through 5, I think it is. Clippers not protected. And they're going to be right there in the play-in situation. So Thunder's looking at having, pick without incredible lottery luck. They're looking at picks 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, somewhere in there, 2 of them. And then if they got Utah's, that was just going to be added problems. So they got to get rid of them. They don't have roster spots anyway. Their 13th man helps them win games all the time. So it's not like they have a bunch of roster spots. So I don't, they're probably not too thrilled with Utah right now, but it also it's not the worst thing that's ever come down the pike.
Yeah, it seems like they're past drafting. It's a matter of keeping their guys because their core is still extremely young. And so let the Jazz have it. The Jazz need this pick, and they need to get lucky in the draft, and they need to keep the kid from BYU, DeBonsa, and let the Thunder do what they're supposed to do and go about worrying if they're going to repeat or not.
Yeah. If the Thunder had 3 first-round draft picks between 9 and 16, they'd be looking to trade them all 3 to move up to 7 or something. That's where the Thunder's at. They need 3 first-round draft picks like they need a meteorite to hit this arena. That just complicate things. Because for all they know, the league would conspire and say, hey, nobody trade with them and make them take those picks. And then they'd have to start cutting people. We're not signing draft picks, and that would be a mess. And, in some ways, the Thunder is they got the ultimate first world problems when it comes to the draft.
I think we can all agree that tanking, while it might be rational behavior in the moment, because it can help your team get a lot better for a long time. And San Antonio's hit on picks 1, 2, and 4, and it looks like it's paying off for them big time, again. But it's still kind of gross. It's just there's so much bad basketball out there. Guys sitting when we all know they're not hurt, and guys getting pulled in the fourth quarter. And the league says they're going to do something about it. The commissioner seems pretty definitive, but they've been trying to do something about it our whole lives, and we're old guys. But it's 40 years ago they introduced the lottery because people were tanking more than 40 years ago. So what are they going to do about it, really?
Well, let me ask you guys. Mm-hmm. Is it your opinion, your impression that tanking has gotten worse in the last?
Yeah.
Well, yes. I think so too.
It's expanded.
Yes,
yeah,
and
it's
why has it expanded? Why has it expanded?
Because they were fixing it. Because they were fixing it.
They've introduced more teams eligible for the lottery. Right? Mm-hmm. It used to be the worst team in the East versus the worst team in the West. Flip a coin.
Yeah.
Now we've gone from 2 to 14. And I've seen the models that they talked about, the new suggestions. What do most of them include? They're going to expand the lottery to 18 teams. You're going to give more teams incentive to lose. if you give teams incentive to lose, guess what they're going to do? They're going to lose. What are we doing here? I'm serious. I don't have any idea what the thought process is there. I saw a reader from The Athletic in one of the mailbag columns from one of the guys had the coolest idea yet, which is at the end of the season or sometime before the start of the next season, every team in the NBA selects in order of worst record. So Indiana, Sacramento, Utah, whoever's in the worst teams, start picking, and you pick a team from next year, and that's your lottery team. And you can't pick yourself. That's genius. You got no reason to lose, and you're hoping somebody else does. So everybody's playing to win, and we're going to find out who's got the worst team. I thought it was a fabulous idea.
There's a lot of smart people out there. Some of the Pelicans' recent trades, if we ignore those, there's a lot of smart people out there, and they will immediately look for loopholes. So if you've got you're Danny Ainge, you got a buddy in Boston you hired. Hey, dude, I'll take care of you 1 year. You take care of me another. Come on, they'll find a loophole like that because they'll work that. They're smart.
You're talking conspiracy, and that's certainly possible. But you were talking to the world's foremost believer in no conspiracies, because conspiracies will get uncovered. Nobody keeps their mouth shut. All the people, all the people say we never went to the moon or that Kennedy's still alive or any of that stuff. My granddaughter's softball coach was having dinner the other night, and she said, I'm a conspiracy theorist. She said, I tell my daughter in history class, don't believe anything they say. And I wanted to say, what's the motivation? People can't keep their mouth shut. So I think Boston and Danny Ainge could come up with something like that. But, man, I don't know that the risk is worth the reward, because you find it out, and if you got a good commissioner, everybody can decide whether the NBA does or not on your own. But if you got a good commissioner, then you just pop them the way he's popped Donald Sterling and Glenn Taylor in Minnesota, and hopefully the Clippers here soon, and whoever else has tried to circumvent the system.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I had a professor when I was going to Arizona State, and I don't remember a thing about the class, but I remember he insisted that there was no landing on the moon. The two things I remembered from this professor is there was no landing in the moon. It was actually somewhere in northern Arizona. And also he taught me that the word embargo spelled backwards is what, DJ?
Oh, grab me.
Yeah, he told me that embargo spelled backwards was oh, grab me. Those are the only two things that I remember from that entire class. I think that if you want to, sports to me is nothing more, nothing less than a TV show, right? And it's entertainment. You want to have entertainment instead of that boring lottery show that they have just for a few select losers. Have it in May, and you do the lottery 1 through 30, 1 through 32, whatever it is, where they settle on. And every year it's brand new, and they just pull it out of a hat every year. That would be, you want an entertainment show? That would be incredible.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. You're right about that. It comes down to this, guys, in all seriousness. If you incentivize losing, people are going to lose. So why would any solution incentivize losing? Just can't, It's a problem. People say it hadn't happened in the NFL or the MLB. It actually has. It does happen in both on a very small basis, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people in the NFL, teams shut down the last 4 or 5 weeks when they realize they stink. And in MLB, we've seen that's how the Astros.
That's what the Astros did, yeah.
Yeah. So,
how did the Royals do it?
It's there's not any Victor Wembanyama's in the MLB. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit dicey to try, but people do it. So, I don't know. It's also a solution in search of a problem because, well, you guys are a great test case. Let me ask you, what are the people of Utah and the people of Salt Lake City, how do they feel about tanking? The fans. Do they hate it, or do they say, hey, you know what, this is what we need to do?
You know, the craziest thing is to go to a game and sit in the arena and watch people cheering wildly for victory, and the team scores and takes a 1-point lead with 5 minutes to go, and they're going nuts. And you look at Twitter in a timeout, and people are cursing the team. It's amazing, Barry. It's like Moses parting the sea, man. It's unreal.
Are the television networks outraged at tanking? No, they're outraged at load management. They don't like it when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander skips a Thunder Spurs game. They don't like it if Luka skips a Lakers Celtics game. But what do they care if the Pacers or the Jazz or the Kings tank? Or, you know, if the Nets don't play their best three players, they don't even know who the Nets' best three players are. So what do they care? The networks don't care, and I think the fans, in some ways, don't care. Now, if you're in an extended tank, 5-6 years, everybody's tired of that. But I just don't know that it's the most serious problem we've got. I think the load management's a lot bigger problem for the league than tanking.
Yeah, I agree. They're cousins, though, because the teams that are tanking learned that load management is works to their benefit. So they're kind of cousins in that regard. But what matters to TV is the top third of the league. It doesn't matter if it's NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball. Tell me about the Packers. Tell me about the Cowboys. Tell me about the Yankees, the Lakers, the Dodgers. They care about the top third of the league.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the NBA is built on stars individually, and by definition, the tanking teams don't have stars, or else they wouldn't be tanking.
Well, they're trying to get stars.
Right, they're trying to get stars, and one person, one player can make a difference. We're all everyone around here is just hoping that somehow luck strikes Salt Lake City and they're the last team standing and they get somebody who actually likes living in Utah as a teenager, and that's this DeBonsa kid. I'm sure you've heard of him over there playing for the Cougars. His family's out here now. They're all over the place. You see them. They're hiking in the mountains. The AJ DeBonsa, the women's team, is in the WBIT, and they play today, actually. And their last home game was last week. And there's DeBonsa at the game. You know how the players will go around the first row of the lower bowl, giving high fives and hugging the young ladies. The guy has bought in to Utah unlike anything we've ever seen from someone who's outside. So if they can score that, we just had Steve Cleveland on, who former coach at BYU and Fresno State, and he joins us, and he said if they can get to Bonza, it would be the best thing that ever happened to the Jazz. Can you imagine that?
Well, I'm skeptical of that statement, but I hope it's true. I hope he does go to – well, actually, I don't. Selfishly, it's about time some of the East teams started winning these massive lotteries, right? I mean, the world would look a lot different if Charlotte had gotten Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, but you don't want a conspiracy. And when LeBron was coming out, guess who got the number one pick?
Yeah, man, yeah. I don't believe in conspiracy.
Explain it.
Well, I don't think the league would have sent LeBron to Cleveland. The networks don't care about Cleveland. They'd have wanted. I can't remember who was the lottery order in 2005. Who knows? But I think it'd be great if DeBonsa went to Utah. That would be fabulous. I was pulling for the Cougars. Golly, the injury to Saunders just talk about bad luck. The Cougars lose JT Toppin at Tech and Saunders on back. I think it's back-to-back nights in February. Those two Final Four contenders, and they're both they don't get very far.
Right.
And then Jefferson with Iowa State.
Yeah.
They go to the Sweet 16 without him, and what a great year for the Big 12, but just didn't really materialize outside of Arizona, in part because of bad luck injuries.
Hey, Luka Doncic was drafted by Atlanta and traded. Even if you get him the star, they're just going to give him away. There's no fix.
That was
dumb.
now. Listen, Atlanta did that because their owner wanted Trae Young, who went to high school about 1.2 miles from my house, and I covered his dad in college. Rayford Young played at Texas Tech. And my brother has coached Trey's little brother in AAU basketball. So I'm all in on the Young family.
And now he's with a team that's tanking in Washington.
But that was idiotic. I mean, that was an owner that really needs his credentials revoked because, you know, I'm no scout. I don't care about draft prospects, any of that stuff. I don't. It takes about 11 seconds to figure out Luka Doncic is going to be a better pro than Trae Young. And for the Hawks, that was just dereliction of duty is what that was.
Before we let you go, how stunning was the story of Kyle Whittingham out at Utah and in at Michigan?
Well, I got to be honest with you guys. That's what. When I opened this show by saying you guys can't stay out of scandal, that's what I was talking about.
I know that's what you were talking about. I knew it.
But here's the deal. It does not shine a good light on the University of Utah's business practices, because most times when you lose a great coach to a big time school, that big-time school ends up paying you a nominal fee, right? $4 million, $3 million, $5 million, whatever great buyout the agent worked out. Utah lost Kyle Whittingham and had to pay $13 million.
I know.
I mean, this is like
my taxes.
This is like this is like the Red Sox owner paying the Yankees to take Babe Ruth off his team. So, I don't.
Kyle Whittingham, the babe.
I don't claim to be an expert on the Utes. Maybe it was time for Whittingham to go. I don't know, but it just seems like didn't cost you anything except a great coach, a great rush end, and $13 million. So, the good news is there is, and of course it'll also cost you your offensive coordinator. Now, the good news is, Kyle did have the humanity to go to a school that has a quarterback in place that they got no interest in replacing. So our man Dampier can stay in Salt Lake.
Right.
But, that's the consolation prize, and it's not a bad one. Could be worse, I suppose.
Yeah, Utah State just lost their basketball coach, and at least they got paid $3.9 million.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Boy, he's a good coach. Were you all at the game, or did you watch it on TV? Utah State in the NCAA tournament. I thought Stan Van Gundy gave about the best endorsement of a coach the whole game long. He kept saying, "This guy's great on inbounds plays," and about 4 seconds later, Utah State would run a great inbounds play, and it just kept happening. And I think by the end of that game, everybody in America knew that Calhoun was a heck of a coach.
He is. He's really good. Yeah, I agree. I've been so impressed with him all year.
He's really good in a lot of things. He's good with them defensively, good on the inbounds. He's a really good recruiter. He's a really good fundraiser. He's really good with the media. He comes on our show. He seems like the total package. And I think Cincinnati ought to be really excited.
Well, they need one because they hadn't been doing well in hoops.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right, Barry, we'll leave it right there. We appreciate it. Thanks for joining us as always. And when we get another whiff of scandal around here, we'll call you so you can enjoy it.
That'll be fantastic. See you later.
All right, thanks to Barry for coming on as he always does. He's a great interview. The Jazz, they go down to defeat last night. We'll get you caught up on all the action and as far as my thoughts on that game and get you the interviews as we normally do. Stay with us. Jazz post game coming up next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Mom, Can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did she have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Welcome on in, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. I am PK, talking to you this morning on this Tuesday. Can you believe it, people? It already is the last day of March. You know what that means? You know what that means? That means that the first quarter of the season is over. How about that? Did that go quick enough? Yeah, I think it did, didn't it? Wow. I think it went really quick. Here we are. Tomorrow is April 1st. Well, the good thing about the end of the first quarter of the year is that we are approaching the end of the Jazz season. Yeah, and what does that mean? That means this season of losing is just about to end. Yep, the Jazz go down 122-113 last night to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that pushes them to 21-55. And so we are down to just barely over a handful of games, and then that'll be it. Yay! I'm excited about it. I would think that you would be too, because this season of losing is over, or about to be over. And these youngsters, they've been fun to watch. I'll give it to them. I'll give it to guys like these 10-dayers, Kennedy Chandler. It's kind of fun seeing these dudes with some new energy out there running around doing their thing. I mean, they're not going to be players in terms of helping the team win playoff games and playoff series. I wouldn't think so. But it's sort of cool to see them get their chance. They're living out the dream just like we would all love to do. And so, you know, storylines from this end of the run here is guys like Kyle Filipowski. You know, where's this kid fit in? Well, I do know where he fits in. He doesn't fit in the fourth quarter when the games are tight. He's been coming out of those games because they don't want to win. Obviously, we all know the storyline has been this way the whole season to maintain that 8th pick. Let's hope they never do that again. Let's do away with protected picks. Just drive me nuts. That's one thing when they want to talk about fixing the lottery. Maybe not have these picks protected in the lottery. Maybe they got to be protected all the way through the lottery, right? And so they start at 14, 15, whatever it might be. That's something to think about. But Filipowski can take notice that he hasn't been playing in the end of games. And this game was close. It was tied in the fourth quarter before the Cavs pulled away, right? And so he finishes with 20 and 10, 5 assists, 3 steals. That's a pretty good ball game. Added block. And he only plays 24 minutes. Maybe there's something there. Second-round pick, huh? We'll find out for sure next year. And obviously, Keontae George has been out. Isaiah Collier, they're keeping him out. Something to take note. Little play on words there, as that's been their little slogan there for a bit. Take note, right? And so Ace Bailey's no point in him sitting out. He's been playing well enough, hasn't he? Again, 35 minutes, 19 points, 5 assists, only had 2 boards. No blocks this time. Sensabaugh, you know, he didn't get a whole lot of minutes relative to like a guy like Kennedy Chandler, who's playing 40, and Sensabaugh is only playing 26. Continues to shoot the ball well, 3 of 5 from 3. Jazz had a pretty good night shooting the 3 in terms of guys that could potentially be on the team next year to help him out. It's Cody Williams, not really shooting the ball well from 3. But he did put up 22 field goals, so he was 0 for 2 from 3, which means he's 11 of 20, if my math is correct. 26 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals. That's something. Against lousy competition. Well, I guess maybe you can't really say the Cavs are lousy competition. I take that back. The Cavs are playing mediocre competition. But the Cavs, I mean, obviously they didn't have Allen, their big guy. But, the Cavs want to win, right? Don't they? Improve their playoff seeding. I mean, they make the big trade with James Harden. Kind of pedestrian night there, only taking 9 shots. That's really not him. Evan Mobley goes nuts, 17 boards and 34 points. And our guy, you know him. Do you love him? What do you think? Donovan Mitchell, 34 points. Goes to the line 12 times, man. He's getting the respect. 7-time All-Star. Can you believe that? Donovan Mitchell is already a 7-time All-Star. Wowzer. How about that, huh? 7 times already. Probably not going to be slowing down anytime soon. What do you think, Jazz fans? Do you miss him? I miss him. Wow, next year he'll be 30 years old already. That's crazy. That is so crazy. Before the season starts in September, first week of September, he will turn 30. Oh, that's just incredible, man. Time really does fly, like I was talking about. He's a player. The problem is, if he's your best player, haven't we seen that? Have we seen that story? Donovan Mitchell being your best player, where is that going to get you? Old Shaq took a lot of heat in that post-game interview several years back where he said he didn't think that Mitchell can be the type to lead a team to a title. Well, I think those are facts. I don't think he can. I don't think Harden is capable of overtaking him as the best player in a given game. James, nice player now. He did have 14 assists, so give it up for him passing the ball. Maybe that's where he's going to settle in because he's 36 years old right now. So he's getting up there. There's not that many 36-year-olds who are the best players on the team, right? He's a nice complement to what they have. Mobley, I don't know that he is consistently your best player. Certainly Allen is not. And they got a decent bench. Picking up Schroeder? How do you say his name? The kid from Germany. He's been around forever. That's something that, a nice veteran, maybe the Jazz can pick up during the offseason. He's in his 12th season. Schroeder. I think Schroeder. Let's settle on Schroeder, right? Because I think that's how you pronounce it. So I hate to say it for the Cavs and Donovan Mitchell. I like him as a player. Some of the things that he said and did, maybe not. Although I don't really care about that. I just care about how they play. All that other stuff, I don't get caught up in that. And they can do whatever they want. As long as they're not breaking the law, I don't really care. The Cavs, they are sitting in 4th, have an opportunity to move up to 3rd. But then if you're the 3rd, would you? I think the Cavs probably would rather stay 4th. Because then in the second round, which I think they'll advance to because Mitchell seems to always do that, right? They would get the Detroit Pistons. Pistons looking like they will win the Eastern Conference. And I think I'd rather play the Pistons than the Boston Celtics in the second round. Wouldn't you? Boston now with Jason Tatum back. Yeah, that could be a nice matchup in the second round, Knicks and Celtics. One of the legendary battles of my youth, along with the 76ers. So from that perspective, yeah, I think I'd rather just sit tight at 4 and take my chances against the Pistons. The Pistons have a nice season. We know Cade Cunningham has had health issues now, and they're brand new. They don't have a lot of playoff experience. What does that mean? That means maybe that they have to prove themselves. I don't know. What do you think? We can get to that later today. I think that that's the case. As far as the Jazz go, yeah, they are bearing down, boys and girls, at keeping that pick. That's great. That's just good news. And then I still think, and maybe I'm nuts, maybe I'm just wannabe hoping that they will end up getting lucky in the lottery. Yeah, I don't know if they'll get that lucky. A.J. DeBonsa. Yeah, I said it. I don't know if that's going to be the case. But maybe they can move up a spot or two. They got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games left as they turn the calendar. They got Denver coming in tomorrow night. I don't know if they're going to win again. I don't know that they need to lose every game anyway from that perspective. Looks like they're locked in, and that's good news. And then we hope I think it's May 10th, somewhere in there, that the lottery comes about, and they get lucky there. All right, Jazz go down, and like every game, we're going to have Jake Scott get you the post-game interviews, so stay with us right here. Listen to the Jazz post-game with Jake Scott.
It's your Jazz recap here on DJ and PK, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott with you. The Jazz come up short last night against Donovan Mitchell and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Jazz lose 122-113. Donovan had 34 points in the win for the Cavs. The Jazz were led by Cody Williams, who had 26 points, 6 boards, and 4 assists in the loss. Let's get now to the postgame sound of Jazz head coach Will Hardy.
That was a really weird game from like a statistical standpoint. Usually if you're in a game and your opponent has 82 paint points, you probably never feel like you're in the game, but it's a good reminder for all of us that sometimes there are shooting nights from the perimeter that can equalize those things, and we shot the ball great from 3 and they shot it horribly. The concern is the points in the paint for us tonight. One of those nights where, again, I felt like we were a little bit slow on the weak side. Weak side help not rotating early enough. I thought our communication wasn't as good as it could have been. But continue to be proud of the way the team sticks together, competes, and, continuing to share the ball offensively. It wasn't our cleanest night with 15 turnovers, 9 of them being live ball, but 31 assists on 42 makes. The guys continue to share it. It creates a good atmosphere and environment in the locker room.
What Cody Williams is doing, do you really believe in? What feels really like a positive you can take going forward?
Well, I think Cody's length and ability to get deflections and play really solid defense is real. I also think his ability to shoot his little pull-up is real. This is a guy who has worked really hard on ways to become impactful offensively in a world where everybody just screams about three-point shooting. Cody is not bombing away from 3, and it's helped him. There's sometimes a desire to kind of prove everybody wrong or fall into the trap of, everybody's talking about my three-point shooting. I've got to spend extra time on it, and this has got to become the only thing I think about. And Cody works on his three-point shooting, but this year we've seen him become a far more forceful driver, a better runner in transition, a smarter and more impactful cutter, and his pull-up when he's being guarded by people that keep backing up, and his ability to create little separation left and right. It's not a full step back. It's like kind of a side step. It looks good, and he has confidence in it. He shot 50% from the floor tonight. So the biggest thing I think that we can all take with Cody is he's adaptable and he's learning. He is being effective in these games without just bombing away threes, and I think that the mindset more than anything is something that we can for sure take forward.
That's Jazz head coach Will Hardy. Let's now move on to the players and hear from Kyle Filipowski.
Philip, how have you navigated this season and just in different spurts played with an aggressiveness that you showed tonight?
The season's so long. I think that there's just going to be ups and downs throughout it, and how you persevere through it, how you stay consistent through those moments. I think that's a big thing I've struggled with a little bit at times this year, and times where I've done a decent job at it. And I think just trying to, regardless of what game it is, how long we've been on the road for, getting close to the end of the season, that sort of thing, just trying to better myself, better the team, just doing things where we can improve as a whole. And I think that's still probably one of the most important things. at a time like now.
There's a lot of ebbs and flows during your first year in the league, too. Would you say that's still the same lesson you're learning in your second year, or what do you think is the biggest thing you're kind of taking away through this season?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say that's probably one of the biggest things. Even though I'm in my second year, I'm still a young guy in this league, and I still have a lot to learn. So obviously there's X's and O's that I learned from the coaches, from the older players like Jaren and Lowry and Nurk. But there's also that mental component where that's just something I have internally for myself that I want to work on and grow in over the years.
Hit 4 threes tonight. What role do you want three-point shooting to play for your offense going forward?
Yeah, I want three-point shooting to be a threat to defenses. I think when I shoot the three well, I think that opens up the rest of my game. That opens up the drives more. That opens up playmaking a little bit more, being able to get downhill and making reads. So I definitely think that it's not live or die by the three for me for sure. I think it just adds to the versatile game that I have where it can benefit me in different ways, and I can just use it as a tool, as a threat to other teams.
Good game last night from Kyle Filipowski, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, even had 3 steals and a block. But the Jazz fall to the Cavaliers, 122-113. Next up, the Jazz take on the Denver Nuggets at Delta Center coming up on Wednesday night. That game will tip off at 7 o'clock. Pregame coverage begins at 6.
There you go. That's Jake Scott in the postgame. All right, coming up next, we will get you caught up on what is trending, what was going on in the world of sports last night. Stay with us. Oh, and also, too, coming up at 9 o'clock, Utah State's got their new coach coming in from Northern Iowa, and his press conference is going to be at 9 o'clock. And so we will have that. We'll have that for you live, so stay with us for that. If you're an Aggie fan, even if not, see what they got cooking. All right, what's trending is next, 7 o'clock hour, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
I sold my car in Carvana last night.
Well, that's cool.
No, you don't understand. It went perfectly. Real offer, down to the penny. They're picking it up tomorrow. Nothing went wrong.
So, what's the problem?
That is the problem. Nothing in my life goes as smoothly. I'm waiting for the catch.
Maybe there's no catch.
That's exactly what a catch would want me to think.
Wow, you need to relax.
I need to knock on wood. Do we have wood? Is this table wood?
I think it's laminate.
Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough.
Car selling without a catch. Sell your car today on
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.